Hi, this is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and welcome everyone, especially my wonderful gifted crafters out there. On today's episode, we're gonna make double-sided fabric napkins with mitered corners. It's the perfect beginner project for new sewers, and it's a really easy process, and I'm excited to show you. So let's get started. Okay, so these are all the materials you're going to need to make these amazing fabric napkins. An iron, sewing pins, a fabric of your choice. Now, I picked up this 5-piece bundle from our local Walmart, and these are 100% cotton, which is exactly the type of fabric you're going to want to use since they are absorbent and we're making napkins with them. You're also going to need an inner fabric of your choice, cardstock, a pencil, a sewing gauge or a ruler, fabric pen, scissors or rotary cutter, and of course, your sewing machine. So the first step to get this started is to make a template. And what we're going to do to make that template is we're going to take our cardstock. Now, mine is roughly about 11 by 4 inches, but it really doesn't matter what size cardstock you use, just as long as it's cardstock, because we're going to need that little bit of flexibility that it has and a little bit of roughness just to help us with our template. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our ruler and our pencil, and we're going to do some markings on here and draw some lines. Okay, so let's go ahead and make those markings. Just anywhere within the cardstock, you're probably going to make about 4 markings. Kind of depends how big or wide your piece of cardstock is. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the 1-inch mark, and we're going to go ahead and just drop a little dot there. Then just move your ruler over just a little bit, line it up, make sure you're lined up with the edge, and then go ahead and make your second dot. And we're just using this as references. Then we'll make our third, and then just go ahead and make one more. And again, that's at the 1-inch mark. So then you're just going to take your ruler and we're just going to draw a line all the way down. Now I'm left-handed, so I'm going to just flip this over to the other side. Once you made that line, you're now at the 1-inch mark. So what we're going to do is do a second line, and this time we're going to measure it to the 1/2-inch mark. So go ahead and line it up again. Draw a little dot on the 1/2-inch. Again, just make sure that your ruler is lined up against the edge. And then go ahead and make your dots. Then again, draw the line all the way through. And you now have your template. Now I'm just going to go ahead and mark this, that this is my 1/2-inch mark, and here's my 1-inch mark. So now we're ready to get started. So now that we have our template ready, you're going to want to make sure that your lines are straight going across your cardstock, because this is going to help you when you make your folds later on. So we'll take this template and kind of put this over to the side. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to grab my portable ironing board. And thank you guys so much for your comments. I will go ahead and make the video for showing you guys how to make this portable ironing board. Loved your comments on the last video, so thank you for that. And just look for that in one of my upcoming videos. So I'm going to go ahead and take my iron, and I'm going to be using this really pretty fabric. This is the fabric that I chose to make my napkins. So let me just pull these over to the side. This is going to be the inner fabric that I'm using, and this is going to be the outer fabric. So I'm going to go ahead, set the inner fabric off to the side. We'll use that later. I'll go ahead and grab my outer fabric. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and iron that out. And the reason why you really want to iron your fabric is because when you are doing measurements and cuts, you want to make sure that you have it really smooth so you can get an accurate cut for you. Now I'll go ahead and do the whole thing here. And again, this fabric I found as part of a fabric bundle that I bought in Walmart, and they have all kinds of bundles that you can use. The size of their bundles kind of vary, but those are some really pretty inexpensive ways that you can get different types of fabrics for your table. So if you don't want to have the same napkin, you can kind of change it up and you have all within the same color pattern. That's a really great way to do it. So now that you've ironed out your fabric, you're going to want to go ahead and do the cut. So let me just move my little portable ironing board out of the way. And the size that I'm using is 18 by 21. But of course, you can cut it any size you like. The most important part of the cut is just making sure that your lines are completely straight. And that's where the template will come in later on. Now, when you get your fabric, you're going to want to look, in this case, I bought the bundle, but wherever you go to get your fabric, you just want to make sure that you cut away the selvage. And for those of the people that are out there that don't really sew that often, the selvage would be this part right here. So you're going to want to make sure that you go ahead and cut that piece off and don't count that as part of your measurement. So once you have your measurement, just go ahead and make the cuts and just make sure that your cuts are nice and straight, because that will impact your folding when you do the napkins. Okay, so now that your fabric is all cut up, I'm going to go ahead and just bring this back over. And we're going to start on one side. And what you're going to do is grab your template and have your iron handy, because we're going to be using that. So one of the things that you'll do is just pick a corner to start off on. And you're going to take your fabric pretty side down, and we're going to fold into it. So once you have your template, bump it up against the fabric, and you're going to fold your fabric into the very first line that you drew. And that is the 1-inch line. So once you fold that all the way over, just line it all up. And you'll just have to kind of move it around until you get right on that line. And then just kind of wiggle it all the way through. You just want to be right on that line. Once you're happy with where it sits, then go ahead and grab your iron, and you're going to want to have to press down right on the line. And you're just going to repeat that all the way down. So just slide that little template down, and again, line it up. Make sure that your template is all the way in and bumped up against the fabric. And just adjust it until you get to that line. Got one more to go. One little trick too is if you kind of iron towards the template, that way you're sure that your fabric is bumped up against the template there. Now, once you have your 1-inch all the way across, you're going to go ahead and you're going to want to do the same thing, but you're only doing it at a 1/2-inch increment. So what I do is I just put it right back in place, bumped up against my 1-inch, and I'll just kind of open the fold, and then I will fold it inside. And I fold it right up against the line of the template. And then what I'll do is I'll fold it back over, and I'll have it right on top of the template. So once you have that in place, just kind of hold that down, and then bring your iron over. And again, just iron it in place. And then just move your template right down the line. Okay, almost there. And you're going to need to repeat this on all 4 sides. And you're going to want to make sure that you are right on that line, because then you'll know that your lines are going to be nice and straight. Again, fold this on the inside and then just fold it over. And when you fold it over, you'll be right on that 1/2 inch line that you've drew. So here's that first line. As you can see, there's your 1/2 inch. And now you're just going to continue the same thing all the way across. So now that you have all 4 sides ironed out, you're ready to begin the next step. So what we're going to be doing is you're going to pick one corner of your fabric, and what we're going to do is unfold everything that you've just ironed out. When you unfold it, you're going to see your 2 lines coming down both sides, and then you're going to see some boxes here. And I'm going to just use the fabric pen to highlight that out. So you're going to see an L on the top, backwards L, of course, and then you're going to see this highlighted box that I'm outlining for you. It's kind of floating in the middle. It's made up of all the irons that you have pressed on here. And you're going to use this box as your guide to do your mitered corners. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and take our ruler. And what I'm going to be doing is drawing a line, a diagonal line across. So we're going to go from this corner of the square over to the other corner. And we're just going to draw a line all the way across. So go ahead and get your ruler, line it up from one corner to the other. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw my line here. Now we're going to go ahead and repeat this step to all 4 corners. So now that you have your diagonal all the way across on all 4 corners, what we're ready to do is go ahead and cut that piece off. So I'm going to move my ironing board over, and I'm going to lay this flat. Again, I'm going to grab my ruler, and I'm going to line it up against that diagonal line that we just drew. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my rotary cutter. You could also use scissors, whatever's more comfortable for you, or whatever supplies you have on hand. And I'm going to go ahead, once I've lined that up, I'm going to take my rotary cutter and just going to chop that piece right off. And we're going to repeat that for all 4 sides. So here's my second. Again, grab my ruler, line it up against that diagonal line that we drew. Grabbing my cutter. There we go. Let me just cut that off. Moving over to my next corner. And on my final corner. Okay. The next step for this process is to lay down your fabric. I'm just going to grab my fabric pen just to kind of highlight this for you. You're going to notice your backwards L or your diamond shape, and you're going to focus on this corner right here. I'm going to kind of darken this out a little bit so maybe it comes through so you can see it. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be folding the fabric into that dotted line here that we're going to make. So here's that little dot. We're going to fold this over and then just kind of hold that in place and grab your iron. Press that. You'll notice that my markings are all gone because I was using my fabric pen. Totally fine because we're not going to need it anymore. So what you're going to be doing with this fold is you're going to take those 2 folds that you had from before and you're going to fold it in. So go ahead and turn that in. Do your second fold and turn that in as well. And that is your first half of the miter fold. And here's the second one. Now you'll have to tuck it in and kind of play with it a little bit just to get it the way you want it. Once you're happy with that fold, go ahead and get the iron and press down. Put a little bit of pressure. And then I'm going to grab one of my pins and I'm just going to pin that in place. And go ahead and repeat that for the other corners. Again, I'm just going to highlight this for you. Here's that little dot again. I'll go ahead and fold this in, hold that down, can finger press it, and then just hit it with your iron. Add a little bit of pressure, and then you're going to go ahead and fold your sides in. Once you're happy with the way that looks, go ahead and grab your iron and press it down. You want to apply some pressure on there. And then again, we're going to take our pin and just pin that in place. And now you have all 4 corners pinned down the way you want it. Okay, so now that you have all 4 corners pressed and pinned, we're ready to go to the next step. So we're going to go ahead and grab our insert. And again, I'm going to just grab my portable iron here. And I'm going to give it a quick press all the way around. Just get out all those wrinkles so you have a nice, clean, and pressed insert for the back of your fabric napkin. Okay, so now you have your insert all nice and crisp and ready to go. So go ahead and put my ironing board off to the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our insert and we're going to tuck it right underneath the folded edges that we have. So I'm going to just lay it down flat. You've already cut this to size, so you want to make sure that your insert is not going further than your actual fabric because we are tucking it in. So just go ahead and lift that edge and tuck it in there. And you may have to just remove the pins, tuck it in, and then put it right back again. Just kind of play with the sides a little bit till you get it right where you need it to be. Then you can go ahead and repin it again. We're going to go ahead and tuck the rest of this. So just turn it around and go ahead and tuck in the other side. Now we're ready to do our final step. So we're going to go and head over to our sewing machine, and I'm going to remove the pin. And what we're going to do is sew 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. And what we want to do is make sure that when you get over to your sewing machine, you just want to press down with your finger and line it up. Now, of course, I'm using my sewing gauge, but for those of you who don't have a sewing gauge, you can go ahead and just sew it at a 1/4 inch seam. You want to get as close as possible to the edge as you can. So I'll go ahead and bring down my foot there. And I'm doing 2.5 inch construction seam, but you can also use a decorative stitch if you like. It's pretty much however you want to do it. So one of the things you'll want to do as you're sewing it is just keep your eye out, because you want to make sure that you are sewing both the insert as well as the outside fabric. And just keep that nice and straight. Now, as we get over to our second corner, I'm going to go ahead and remove the second pin. Might have to readjust it again because it's shifted around, but hopefully not too much. Just hold it down with your fingers and continue to sew. Now, as you get to that second edge, what you're going to want to do is raise your foot, and you're going to want to pivot. Just adjust here with your fingers. Make sure everything is nice and straight, and then go ahead and bring your foot down and continue to sew all the way across. Just adjust as you go. I'll take my third pin off. Again, just do a little adjustment and just hold it down with my finger. I'm going to raise my presser foot and pivot it again. And again, it might have shifted just a little bit, so I'm just going to hold it down with my fingers. I'm going to go ahead and remove that final pin. And then just pivot one more time. Okay, and that is it. So we're all done sewing, and we have our nice fabric napkin that we finished. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just hit it with the iron one final time, just to kind of seal it in, bring down the edge. And it's a really beautiful project. It's very quick and simple to do. And what you can see here is that we ended up with our nice double-sided napkin with our mitered corners, really squared, really beautiful. It really dresses up your table. I went ahead and did different fabrics. As you can see here, this is all belonging to that same bundle that I was using, and you can see some other ones that I've done. So you can have a lot of fun with this and just enjoy. These are just some of the samples that I was able to make using the fabrics that are festive for the upcoming holiday. Now that we've gone through the process, I would love to see what you gifted crafters make. So please upload your pictures to any of the social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you're comfortable with, and tag me or send me the link, and I might showcase this on one of my future videos. I hope you really enjoyed this. I loved putting this together for you all. It's just a quick and easy way to dress up your table for any occasion. I appreciate you spending your time with me, and I would love to see your comments. So if you enjoyed my video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you'd like to be part of the community, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you can be notified of future videos. Thanks again, everyone, and hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye!